Whoa! The story continues. Cast episode 2. We are back now. Woo! Before we get into it, you probably have a lot of questions if you are watching the visual podcast right here on YouTube. 3 things. Let's start with number 1. Where has the cast been after 1 episode? Well, you see, I had to go on a business trip. I was out in Toronto for a week. I came back. I got sick, so I've been out for 2 weeks basically. However, I did watch. Well, actually, I haven't gotten around to watching AEW Dynasty yet, but I did just watch WWE Backlash, and we're going to be talking about that all episode long today with my guest, Night Sky, the same man I went to WrestleMania with. But, like I said, there were 3 things to address. That was 1, so we're back. I know, it derailed the podcast a little bit right from the start, but we're back just in time to talk about Backlash. Number 2, what the hell am I wearing? Well, you see, the Celtics are in the playoffs still. Unlike the 76ers, I'm sorry. But it's the Boston Bruins. They actually somehow beat the Maple Leafs. They're still in the playoffs. And Backlash was just in France with an electric crowd. Yes, this is more of an Irishman hat. And I did get it from St. Patrick's Day. But it's got the French vibe, the wee-wee, you know what I mean?
No, that hat is pretty wee-wee, if you ask me.
Ooh. Well, anyways, the 3rd thing I want to talk about is what the hell are you standing in front of, mister?
Well, hello everyone, it's me, Night Sky, wrestling enthusiast here since day one. Long time fan, first time caller. But basically, what this background is, a couple days ago, as of the recording of this podcast, on May 3rd, it was my 22nd birthday, hence the big 22s here you can see. And I did a fun little Hot Ones challenge with my mom on stream. So we ate a couple of wings and some really, really spicy hot sauce. It was a lot of fun. I even cried a little bit.
You did?
But it was a good time. And so I actually haven't moved everything up because I've been gone all weekend as well. So I literally just decided just to reuse the set. Pretty impressive. I set this all up by myself, by the way. So
well
nice
deserved.
Production.
Well deserved.
I'm channeling my inner Pat McAfee right now. I got my own little program going on right now.
The program.
So good old program, and he did allude to this, but the Sixers did end up losing.
Losers.
But it's okay because they fought hard for the love of Philly, and we love Philly here. Woo! Phillies are cooking, dude. Phillies are #1 team in the MLB right now, dude.
Nobody cares about baseball and
I love it. You shut up. That's
your
job.
We care about baseball in like the fall. Okay, look, we are not talking about.
That's your job. That's your job.
We're not here to talk about sports. We're here to talk about formerly known as sports entertainment, now known as professional wrestling. World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE. So, long story short, you guys know how this goes. The story continues cast. Almost forgot the name of my own podcast. I've been a long-time wrestling fan. My boy right here, one of my co-hosts, might be rotating some other friends into this podcast over time, but hopefully, Night Sky, Esteban, Steven, whatever you want to call him, will be a
Philly man.
Very prominent. Is that the word? Prominent?
Prevalent. Part of the show,
recurring host for the podcast. So I decided to bring him back on episode 2 to discuss Backlash. And right off the bat, man, I literally just watched this about maybe 2 hours ago. That might be, I've been watching wrestling since 2005. That might be the best crowd I've seen at a live event for wrestling in my life.
Hands down.
AEW, TNA, WWE, all the WWE's events for decades. I think France Backlash had the best crowd I've seen to this day.
I would 100% agree. So I actually had the pleasure or the privilege to watch it live as it was airing. Me and my mom actually watched. Funnily enough, she wanted to watch
She's getting into it.
Yeah, I know. So right off the bat, I saw I think it was like the SmackDown the night before, but already you could tell the crowd was just 100%, 110% into the entire event. Just the amount of cheering, the amount of chants. And the coolest thing is, too, I think someone mentioned this, because I think they were trying to, sneak diss France. They're like, oh, listen to that crowd. They're so quiet when something's going on. I said, well, and then someone said, well, listen, they're quiet because everyone's so focused on what's going on.
Yeah.
They're watching the matches. They're listening to, the promos or whatever. But then when something crazy happens or when there's a big reveal or whatever, they all, went crazy. The amount of times they kept singing along to the intros. Big example of that is they sang along to Randy Orton's intro.
Oh.
Everyone, they were all saying that, those voices in their head. Oh my god,
they
that was so
talked
cool.
to me. Oh,
it was phenomenal. Phenomenal, by the way. We'll get to that later too. But that chant was so sick. I still don't know how to. It's in French, but it was so funny just hearing them chant every single time.
Every single time he starts having offense, AJ Styles. Oh, dude, I had tears in my eyes. I was like, this is passion. This is just beautiful. Like, for the love of the game, man.
You saw that one clip where I think it was like for SmackDown, but like it was the fight. And they were doing the chant, and they had one shot where it was of AJ Styles, but the camera was bouncing up and down. Oh my god!
It was Samantha was doing the intro to the match, and like I've rewatched that already like 3 times before we started recording this podcast. Like bouncing, the arena was bouncing multiple times, and I do want to actually start here because I realized right off the bat, Michael Cole was doing like the intro like promos to Backlash. I couldn't hear the man. The crowd was just drowning him out. Like I feel like WWE did not have a backup plan to that level of noise because you just could not hear Michael Cole. I was cranking the volume up on my TV. I'm like, is something wrong? No, it was just that damn loud in that arena in France, where arena was shaking, camera was bouncing, the announcers are getting drowned out. I watched Backlash last year, and I think to that point in 2023, Puerto Rico like had the cake, like the Bad Bunny entrance.
Oh my god, yeah,
everything.
They went off.
When Carlito returned, like I don't know if you saw that clip.
When the LWO came out, and all like these these guys came out, I'm like, holy crap.
To that point, I think Puerto Rico had been the most passionate and fun crowd, but I gotta say, man, I think France blew them out of the water. France was like 10 out of 10 crowd throughout the entire night, but that was the first time ever. Like WWE is usually really on top of their audio like quality. Like as an AEW fan, I'll admit AEW sometimes has some shitty audio, man. Like they still got some kinks to work out. Like I remember one time like there was an AEW promo like early on, and like they were accidentally using the mics like under the ring, so everything sounded like muffled for like 5 minutes. God, like some companies struggle with audio. It's hard. But WWE is on top of it. WWE was struggling with the audio, not because they weren't like, no
issues. It was just
not because there were issues. It was just so damn loud. Like the passion was just beautiful, man. And I've been talking too much, but I do just want to say, like, I think this just proves that like these countries, these cities that just don't get WWE events or wrestling events in general, like I know AEW does All In, and I'm sure TNA has gone around the world, and obviously New Japan, all the other companies, they probably go around. But when WWE has started to go to Saudi Arabia, to Puerto Rico, France, you name it, I'm sure maybe they'll start hitting Australia. They did Perth Elimination Chamber. Maybe they'll be hitting Asia soon, like maybe Korea, China, Japan, you name it. Japan would be awesome. That would be. I think they just go all out because they don't get it, like Philadelphia, Boston, we get events every couple months. Like we kind of take it for granted, I feel like. You're like, I'm at my 7th event of the year, But like the Frenchmen, they're wearing the little caps. They're like, we, like they're so happy.
Whenever they're doing the count, it's not 1, 2, 3. It's un, deux, trois. I'm like, it was so sick.
It's just the passion comes out, man. Like they've been waiting 20 years to go to a WWE event. Like, beautiful, man.
For sure, and I think to your point too for that is think about it. Like the W in WWE stands for world. It's not just a national event. You're my co-host here is right in saying that. WWE, they go to places all over the country, right? They always go to New York, or it's Chicago, California, Texas, Florida, you name it. Like they go all the national places, but whenever they go, across the world, that's when you see the rest of the world shine in terms of like how much of a reach that this this sport has, to put it lightly. It's just the fact that you have fans who not only come from across the world to see stuff like WrestleMania, but you'll have fans who'd be like, I think I saw someone holding a sign that said, my only dream was to go to like a WWE event, and like it's come true, that type of thing. So that's really cool to see, and I love seeing the community react to that online too, just seeing everyone being so supportive. And I mean, like, I think that, I don't know if they were having a discussion, or even if Triple H kind of like mentioned it, or maybe as a meme, but I mean, they talking about like, hey, like I saw signs saying like, hey, bring WrestleMania to France. Imagine how crazy WrestleMania in France would go. Oh my God! And I know they're trying to work their way into bringing it to the UK as well.
Yeah.
So, but having like, yeah, like, you know, cross country or cross world, you know, PLEs is awesome, because not only do you meet those fan bases that have been longing for an event like that to come to their city, to come to their town, but it doesn't even have to be like a major city like Paris. Like where were they at? They were at
Lions,
Lyon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, but even then, like, look how many people showed up there. Like I mean, this might just be me, but I've never heard of Lyon before. And like they pointed it out on the map, and they're like, it's right here. And I'm like, oh my gosh,
it's the third largest city in France. I was like, I didn't even know it was a city. Cool.
Exactly. But like, yeah, just like to wrap that up, like it's crazy to see the amount of support that can come from anywhere in the world for something like WWE. I mean, and it makes sense too, because like these wrestlers are from all over the world as well. Like they're not just you know American, whoa,
the American yep.
True, of course, but like no, it's a worldwide thing. So I don't know, I just love seeing it, and especially as a newer fan, it was just cool to see that type of energy, especially after being at something like WrestleMania. I get to see like what other people are like in other events like that too.
Yeah, for sure. And before we dive into talking about Backlash itself, the matches and everything, just as we did for WrestleMania, I think I want to branch off of what you were just saying and say, like, wrestling's really at its peak right now, man. Like, it's so awesome.
Oh my God. Because it's mainstream. It's getting mainstream.
Mainstream. I just literally was on Twitter earlier today, and they're doing Jey Uso's theme song at an NBA playoff game. At an NBA playoff game was so like that's crazy. And multiple times working, like I work for the broadcast channel that does the Bruins, I'll hear "Took It All Away, Give It All." They play Cody Rhodes' theme song when the Bruins are playing, when all the other, like multiple instances of being mainstream as hell. And it's not even just WWE. I mean, multiple times AEW goes viral. Recently, all the talk of the town has been, I believe in Joe Hendry. People like wrestling just goes viral, and it's super cool because, again, I've been watching since 2005, and I've seen it, like, Attitude Era was just like peak. Like, I feel like our grandparents have all been like, I remember I used to watch when Hulk Hogan was around. And then, like, my parents' generation, like my dad and my grandpa, especially my dad, he watched when like Bret Hart was around, and especially when it was like Rock and Stone Cold, the Attitude Era. That's when like everybody and your mom was watching wrestling. Then it just fell off. Like I feel like by the time Cena came, like wrestling wasn't mainstream anymore, and then everyone was like, you still watch that crap? Like it's fake. Yeah. And then we trudged through it. The whole time I grew up a fan as a teenager, like wrestling was crap, man. Like you had Roman Reigns being the big dog, nobody gave a shit. Brock Lesnar fighting, like everyone was bored of Brock Lesnar. You had people doing dumb shit. You had like trying to think of some examples, like Chad Gable, who is an amazing wrestler, was going by the name of like Shorty G. What is that bullshit? Like wrestling just entered such a dark time, and it's so cool to see this new Triple H era, the Renaissance era. Like it's back. It just feels back. There's an energy. France showed you. People shit on the WrestleMania crowd, but first off, it was an open stadium and it was cold. Okay, we were there night 2.
Oh yeah, 100%.
We were there night 2. It was loud. There is passion for wrestling. And no matter where you stand, if you're a WWE stan, if you're an AEW stan, if you're one of those wrestling fans that's like, what? You don't know about this guy that wrestled in Japan that on non-televised like wrestling? Like you're not a true wrestling fan. It's like, bro, not everybody has time to go watch every single wrestling match in existence.
Exactly.
But no matter what kind of wrestling fan you are, you just have to admit, like, it feels good. Like there is just a momentum. The passion is coming back. People are just getting into wrestling. Longtime fans are coming back to wrestling. We have an example right here where Night Sky is getting into it, and even his mom's checking it out a little bit, Like, it's appealing to a very large audience. It's mainstream. There's things going viral. And if you have not yet hopped on the bandwagon, now is the time. The doors are open. You can join. It's not like you have to catch yourself up. You probably will naturally, because WWE always runs like these packages explaining what the storyline is right before a big pay-per-view match and whatnot. But that's my last little rant. I don't know if you have anything to add to that point.
No,
before we dive into
you
Backlash.
summed it up pretty well, and I think, you know, just to add on to it, two little things. One, yeah, social media is a big part of it too. I think we mentioned that last episode, how anything and everything can go viral, and it's worked out so well for wrestling just because of how many, you know, moments or just or whatever compilations you'll see, like on like TikTok, for example. I'll always find something. Like one example, like there's a whole it's like meme compilation of like of the Shield just being dumb as hell, like in random moments, or even like one of just CM Punk just also being dumb as hell. Like you name it, like you can just see anything on there, and it's so funny because it's so appealing to that type of audience. And I think I honestly forget my last point I was gonna make with that too, but yeah, like going back to our WrestleMania that we went to, like yeah, of course, you know, it was cold that first night, but even then, like you saw the amount of people that were there, you saw the energy, you saw how hyped people were that this is a brand new era that we're in, and just the amount of passion for it too. So just kind of seeing that all come together was really cool. Oh, I did have one more thing just to see. I think I saw a meme that you know, we just witnessed a really crazy Backlash, and really you saw how passionate these French fans were. But then all of a sudden you're gonna go back to the United States. You're gonna hear a what after like every like 2 seconds, and then you're just gonna hey, what's my cat doing? He's being dumb. But you're just gonna hear like some of the dumbest stuff ever. And I'm like, oh my god, like really
ass, boring ass, used, recycled American crowd chants. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm telling you, American crowds were just too spoiled. We're just used to it. We're like, it's just another Raw. We're gonna be let's sabotage it.
Raw,
you know. Yeah. And then right now you have all the Roman crybabies, you know what I'm saying? And like, if your favorite isn't gonna wrestle for the night, or someone lost and now you're upset, it's like, now I'm gonna sabotage the show for everybody, you know? Like there's always people like that, hecklers, if you will.
Yeah. To our listeners and our watchers, sorry, my cat's being dumb, so I might be off screen every now and then trying to make sure it doesn't fall.
Hey,
but keep going.
Priority.
Let's talk about Backlash.
Let's dive into Backlash. Backlash, so it's interesting because this card was only 5 matches, which, I mean, you know, the WWE of old, like even 4 or 5 years ago, that shit's unheard of. Like, especially at WrestleMania. WrestleMania would go for like 6 hours, and you would have like 12 matches jammed into one night. So to only see 5 matches, it does feel a little bit like there's 2 ends of the scale. It's like, okay, quality over quantity. You have more time to focus on each match and less rush. But maybe, you know, to play devil's advocate, it might be a little underwhelming. Like, that's it? 5 matches? Where's my LA Knight? Where's my Bobby Lashley? Yeah. Where's my this guy, that guy, this girl, that girl, you know? So how did you feel about like pacing, overall match card? And then I guess we'll dive in match by match, just like we did last time.
Yeah, I mean, well, like I said to you, like newer fan here, so I don't fully, you know, I mean, I'm starting to learn everything now too, and I understand the pacing of it all too. Yeah. And Backlash is supposed to be like that, you know, it's the first paid live event that's after WrestleMania. To be the one. There's gonna be some, you know, some titles up for grabs. You're gonna see people who have won the right to challenge the current champions for their championship. And I think it's interesting because I like the pacing. I know you're right. We're only 5. But I think that's good enough for what you want to do, because you don't want to go all out for something that just happened. Like, I guess it's been, you know, more than a month now at this point since WrestleMania.
Crazy, man.
Which, yeah, that is already wild.
Pharaoh,
oh my god,
Pharaoh.
That is wild to think about. But I mean, I think the matches we had were paced perfectly. I think some were a bit better than others. Obviously, but man, that's kind of what happens every time for an event. But I will tell you this, like we said it before too, we're going to keep saying it tonight, the crowd just elevated everything. It could have turned like a mid-match into something that you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, I can't believe that just happened. So but yeah, I think it worked well with the pacing, and I think if anything, it just set up a lot more that's going to happen.
For sure, man. And with that being said, match number 1, right off the bat.
Oh, yep.
Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, the new bloodline. whose tribal chief is this? That ain't my tribal chief. Solo Sikoa. Man,
Solo.
you know it. You know something's cooking when Solo comes out and does his entrance, and you get a "We Want Roman" chant. Was brewing. I think Bloodline Civil War is coming up. You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah, they're building the one side of the Bloodline, and they're gonna have. I mean, I think we saw like that one shot after the first fight. You know, you see, the new Bloodline walking by, and then all of a sudden you see Paul Heyman look at Jey Uso, and like he looks at him, and he's like, "I need your help. Like something's going down. I need you."
Yeah.
And maybe who knows? He can reunite with Jimmy. Roman can come out of nowhere, and they all team. Maybe even the honorary Uso himself, Sami Zayn.
I would love Sammy cooks
in.
with this Bloodline story, man.
That would be awesome. So, but hey, we gotta see. Maybe someone's got to be controlling this all from behind the scenes, and there's no way it's Solo Sikoa, the enforcer, the man who's been on the biggest losing streak ever since after taking down John Cena. Well, technically he won on Backlash, but the point being, no way that dude's calling the shots. So there's got to be something else at work here. Everyone's theorizing it's the final boss. He could be doing something, but hey, he's out in Hollywood dancing. He's doing his little dance.
Moana
dance. But hey, I think if anything, that first match was cool.
Yep.
And I mean, I hate to see Kevin and Randy lose, but
taking too many L's, man. Like,
I know
Randy is a legend, and honestly, I've been thinking about it. Like, if I had to make like a WWE top 5 or whatever, like I think KO's up there for me, man. No, just
really?
like my favorite.
Not
Mount Rushmore. No, that's a whole other conversation.
That'd be
but in terms of like my top 5 favorites, like at least right now with current WWE, like KO is up there. I've always been a Kevin Owens fan, and it just hurts me, man. He's out here taking L's to Logan Paul. Out here taking L's to the biggest loser, Solo Sikoa. Like, come on, put some respect on Kevin Owens' name. But I also can't complain because he is getting so much TV time. And he's been on every event.
Yes, he has been, yeah.
Just on the wrong side of things. But maybe this leads to like a Randy versus Kevin type situation. Maybe it leads to them becoming tag champs. I don't know where that's all going. But I'm definitely interested to see what the whole Bloodline Civil War is. We did get the debut of that new guy. I don't even remember what his new name is. Like Tonga Loa, something like that.
Tonga Loa, yeah.
But the cool thing
is
Tonga
and then Tonga Loa.
I think it's Tonga Loa. So I have no idea who that is. However, like I said, I've been watching for a while. So I guess like around 2016, 2017, there was a wrestler named Sin Cara. He was a masked guy, wore like all blue and yellow, came out, pretty much was like deemed the next Rey Mysterio. He always got injured. He got fired. A new guy came in. His name was Hunico, blah, 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 blah. Apparently, this guy, Tonga Loa, is like the bodyguard of Hunico. He used to be called Camacho. So, like, I know of him, but he's kind of one of those guys who are, like, very forgettable.
Isn't he... I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't like Michael Cole say like he's related? He's like his brother of Tama Tonga?
Tama Tonga's brother. He's been in WWE before as like a completely different character.
But someone else.
Super irrelevant side character. Like only the biggest wrestling fans would know. That's why like I know of him, but like I could not name you a single match he had when he was Camacho. I had no clue. I just remember who he was. But yeah, he's around. I think it's interesting because I've also never seen a Jacob Fatu match, but I've heard a lot about this guy who's supposed to be debuting in the Bloodline.
Oh my gosh,
he's supposed to be... I can't remember if he's Umaga's son or how he's related to the Bloodline.
He's part of the Bloodline. He's part of the family tree.
Everybody, if you have the tribal tattoo and you have tattoos, Samoa Joe, I mean, not Samoa Joe, but just Samoan, like, you're in the Bloodline. So... I'm very interested because a lot of people were saying it was going to be like Solo, Tama Tonga, this Jacob Fatu guy who I've never seen, but apparently he's supposed to be great, and then The Rock. That was going to be like the new Bloodline. But now that they've added this guy, Tonga Loa, and it's already been confirmed, or there's rumors that this Jacob guy is signed, is the Bloodline just going to be the new Bloodline just going to be this group of like 20 guys? Or like, how is this all going to play out? I am interested. I have no clue. It seems like nobody really knows because nobody knew that this other Bloodline guy was going to debut. But I'm interested in it. I also think the match itself was really good. I think it was like electric when Nick Aldis came out and he was like, you know what? No disqualification. Like, it's a street match.
Yeah, like they all were in the
crazy.
ring and they start going before the bell even rings. And I'm
Yep.
like, oh my gosh! And all the refs and the security guards are running out like, stop.
Yep.
So they're definitely going in.
Electric. And then you already touched upon it, but like the crowd singing Randy Orton's theme, like give Randy Orton his flowers, man. That is a legend in this business. Beautiful. KO got a huge pop because obviously he's French Canadian, so you know he speaks the French tongue. Oui. Yeah, that's really all the input I got. I don't know if I have to give the match like a number out of 10, but it's definitely up there. It was a good opening match.
Yeah, great. Like I think it was a good match. Probably at least like a 9-ish.
Yeah, I'd say like minimum like an 8, because I mean at the end of the day, I know the Bloodline has to win to build momentum, but like I'm not even trying to hate, because I love Solo Sikoa's theme and I do want him to thrive.
The Bloodline theme was
that
sick,
man. Solo Sikoa just got no aura, man. He just lacks aura. I don't know what it is. He actually was really cool when he's
got the hoodie on. Just got the hoodie on.
He was cool when he first started. He had like this big winning streak, and he was like Roman Reigns, like muscle, and then like they just had him lose a shit ton. So now it's like they gotta do something to build that man back up, because it's not working for me. I don't know about you guys.
Maybe it's the start. Maybe this is the start right here. Like this.
Yeah, I mean he finally got a win on a PLE, so we'll see what the future brings. But he's the tribal chief apparently for now, so we'll see how that goes.
I guess.
But I don't want to wander too long on this one, because we gotta get ahead to the women's triple threat, which was Bayley, Naomi, and it's Tiffany time. Tiffany Stratton. Banger match, man. Like I'm a big fan of triple threat matches. I think they're just exciting.
They are cool.
Non-stop action. But you start with this one.
Okay, no, of course. So I think. Well, leading up to it too, like the story is at least that it was just gonna be like, you know, Naomi versus Bayley, just like, oh, they're good friends, they're gonna just, you know, first match, but then, you know, out of nowhere it's Tiffy time. Tiffany Stratton comes out of nowhere and says, nope, like I want to get on this too, but you know, it ends up becoming a triple threat match, triple threat. And I mean, it was a good match. There's so much, like, I guess the biggest part, like the one word that would stick out to me for that is just the amount of athleticism, also just acrobatics, because I didn't know this, but I didn't know Tiffany Stratton was actually a gymnast on the United States Olympics team. I had no idea, but like you saw like all the moonsaults she did, all like these flips. I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes perfect sense. But great match, and obviously we mentioned it before too, the crowd was fully into it too, you know, chanting all of everyone's entrance theme. And I gotta say, I will say this, like out of the three of them, and I think out of like all the women so far, I think my favorite, not theme, but just like, I guess, I don't even call it shtick, like Naomi's like glow in the dark kind of aesthetic is just so cool. Yeah. I really like it a lot, and it's really cool like how she like includes it into like all her matches. But like, yeah, either way too, really good match. Bayley definitely, you know, proved why she deserves that, to keep that title. And I think if anything, I don't really have too many complaints. I will say this though, I think like it's sometimes I feel like if it's more than just two people, so if it's a triple threat or if it's a fatal 4-way, I feel like sometimes I could definitely feel like it can go on a little bit longer than it should. But I mean, that's to be expected, because there's more people actually, you know, wrestling and fighting, so you want to make sure everyone has the right amount of like screen time or time to rest, whatever you name it. So I understand that, but definitely I think it was a good fight. And yeah, just I think a funny one overall too. So I really enjoyed it.
For sure. That was honestly actually my first time ever seeing like Tiffany Stratton fight. Like I've never seen a Tiffany Stratton match, because she wasn't on WrestleMania, and then she wasn't on the other pay-per-views I tuned in. She like came up through NXT. I think multiple times Michael Cole says she's only been in the like wrestling business for like 2 years or something. That's impressive. Oh wow. That's impressive. Yeah. And the whole fact about being on the Olympics, that's also super impressive. But yeah, no, I mean, you definitely summed it up. Like, I definitely thought it was a very fun match. Like I said, I'm a big fan of triple threats. I think it's just exciting. You have all the near falls. Like, you're like, oh shit, Naomi about to win, and then like someone just breaks up the pin. Like, it's an exciting concept. Definitely think the athleticism was crazy, and yes, I agree. Like, for the longest time, I've always been a fan of like vibrant lights. I mean, I don't have it lit up, but I got the Tengen canvas that lights up and shit.
Got my colors here, yeah.
In your room, you know, your streaming room, like you got all the lights, like
The vibes,
RGB lights and shit are just so in with streamers and like the younger people nowadays. Like it's a no-brainer why Naomi, you know, has that connection with the crowd. Plus, technically, she is in the bloodline by marriage.
That's true. That is true, actually. Yeah, she's part of the bloodline.
So
yeah.
maybe we have another bloodline member one day if she ever turns heel or whatnot.
That'd be so. Maybe she could. That'd be funny. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, after we saw Bayley win the big one at WrestleMania 40, you know, I thought there was no doubt that she was going to be retaining.
Yeah.
She's one of the 4 horsewomen, so they're not going to do her dirty. Even though, compared to Charlotte, Becky, and Sasha Banks, Bayley never gets on the posters. Bayley never gets any of the.
I saw the
praise.
memes. Yeah.
Bayley's always shafted, but there was no way. Like, you know, Tiffany would get her title one time, like eventually. Naomi has had the title 1 or 2 times, and I'm sure she'll get a title eventually.
Another run, yeah.
But yeah, it's Bayley's time right now. Let her cook, and yeah, man, great match overall. Yet another, like, I think Backlash was 2 for 2 to start, like banger after banger. And this is where I have something controversial to say about this next one, but I do want to see what you think about it. I want to get to the World Heavyweight Championship match. Jey Uso, just me, Uso. Day one, it's just me, Uso. Oh my god, that
was crazy.
What an entrance.
Energy. Crazy shit. Oh,
you know that shit was rocking. You had the Bray Wyatt Fireflies out. Like,
that was cool, yeah.
And they were just like they did for Randy Orton. They were singing, "It's just me, Uso," but they had the French accent to it. It's just
I could hear that too for all the chants. Yeah,
everything they do is the French accent. Versus Damian Priest, which, I'm sorry, just like Solo Sikoa, no aura, bro.
No aura?
That wasn't the controversial thing I was gonna say, but we will get to it later. But I don't know, like Priest, I think I had mentioned it in the first podcast. Like, I love Finn Balor. I think he's a main event player. Like, I do view him more as like the leader of the Judgment Day, him more of like the main event heavyweight title kind of guy, and he definitely deserves a title run, especially after his first one was cut so short due to injury years ago. I love Dom Mysterio. I love Rhea Ripley. Like, I don't know, Damian Priest, I don't hate him, but I just don't see him as like the world champ. I popped off for his Money in the Bank cash-in just because I love the ecstasy, the surprise of Money in the Bank cash-ins. But it was like, okay, I popped off for him. Now let's see how he can prove me wrong. And I feel like this first match was Jey Uso didn't really do it for me. I don't think it was a bad match. I think it was a good match, but I just don't think it was like a.
I'll tell you what
awesome.
I'll tell you what I think the reason is just because of how much more popular Jey Uso is. Yeah, and I think because like a good example of that would be like let's say Solo Sikoa in some bizarre universe wins the heavyweight world or the world heavyweight championship.
Probably one day, honestly.
For some bizarre reason, right? And he would go against, let's say, I'm trying to think of a good example. LA Knight. Yeah. Like, you're instantly gonna be like, oh my gosh, LA Knight is so much more popular. But then Solo wins, and you're like, wait a second, what? Like, I can't see you being a champion. Like, that's like someone who has, like you put it, more aura, more of a presence. And I think that's probably the biggest part of from what I've seen so far is of being in WWE and being a wrestler like that is, not only do you have to be good at, wrestling, but you have to have some kind of a presence because half the time, you're wrestling, but other half you have a microphone in your hand. So you're going to be talking to the crowd. You're going to be trying to work the camera, all that kind of good stuff. And sometimes you have your heels who know how to make a crowd hate you. Logan Paul is a great example of that. Someone who is really good at what he does, and that's pissing people off, right?
Yep.
And then you have also other people like, for example, LA Knight or even Cody Rhodes. Like they have that energy of like, hey, like I know you guys have my back. Thank you for that. This is for you, that type of thing. Yeah. And so you need to have that presence when it comes, especially if you end up going on a championship run, which is elevate that to an even higher standard. It makes more sense to have someone who is more popular like that to work like that. I mean, we don't know what they're cooking, but sometimes they do stuff for a reason. Damian Priest, I will say, I mean, I like him. I think he's a cool dude. I think the first time I ever like watched a match of his was the Backlash from last year where he went against Bad Bunny. But even then, like, that's a great example too. That's a great example of that too. Is that Bad Bunny, someone who's way more popular even just in mainstream, but seeing him win against Damian Priest that makes so much sense. You know, it's in Puerto Rico, it's his hometown, you name it. But like for this one too, like I can't really see him being that way. And I think that's also going to play a part of it too. I'm skipping ahead here a little bit too, but at the end of the match, or even just beforehand, they kept saying, Michael Cole and everyone kept saying how like, hey, Damian wants to do this thing by himself. The Judgment Day is notorious for ganging up on people. You've seen it multiple times beforehand in the past. And during the fight too, in the later half, you see JD McDonough, and then you see Finn Balor come out of nowhere. They're trying to mess up Jey Uso and you know, make sure like, come on, like go get him, like pin him right now, whatever. And there's at the end of that match too, when Priest won, you can see at the end he grabs Finn Balor by the face and says, "What did I tell you?
Yep.
Like, stop interfering." And then he turns to both of them and says, "Put your arms up, put your arms up." And then they both look at each other like, so they
imagine they're doing it and there's like, it's just me.
Dude, I'm fucking
they just cave.
Crazy. But I think another part of that too is it's the unfortunate circumstance too that Rhea Ripley's not active right now because of her injury. And so because of that, there has to be another story to be told with that. And I think that's why there's more of a story with, hey, there's some conflict right now within the Judgment Day, especially, you know, hey, just saying, you know, Dom, I don't know what you're doing while Mommy's on the sidelines, man. Like, so Liv going on.
It should have been me. It should have been me.
I don't know if you saw that clip. That was crazy. But yeah, just to point that being like, yeah, I can understand you, and I kind of agree with you too that Damian Priest does not feel like a world heavyweight title champion. Yeah. Which I mean, you know, like you said too, the circumstance of how he got it was he used his money in the bank to take it right back from Drew McIntyre. Which, by the way, I think that feud is gonna be crazy. Drew and CM Punk, you can already see it building so much. Especially during Raw, you saw like the previous Raw episode too. They just have a hatred for each other, and it's so funny just to watch. So I think that's gonna happen down the line. But to wrap up, like my thought on the match too, I think Jay did a great job. I think he, like I said too, you have to work the crowd. He definitely worked the French crowd. He had everyone, you know, yeeting with him too. It was so fun. He had the punch go yeet, yeet, and there's a little dance he does too after the yeet, and all the super kicks and all that good shit. So I think obviously he wins in my heart, but it makes sense because they have to build a story. So therefore, and it's the first title defense too. So some 9 out of 10 times you will retain your championship. So someone has to be the first one to go down, and unfortunately this time it was Jay.
Yeah, I think by throwing him into the main title picture, I didn't expect him to win. I knew. Same deal with Bayley, for example. Like, it's the first title defense, like you said. Priest was winning. But I think it elevated Jay by, once again, putting him in a world title picture. Now he can go on, maybe win the Intercontinental title, the U.S. title, go and have a high-level feud with somebody. But this is the controversial thing I wanted to say. Ooh, as I said earlier, you know, Kevin Owens definitely in my top 5 current WWE wrestlers. Jey Uso is definitely also in my top 5. I love Jey Uso. I think he's got the promo skills, the mic, the aura, everything. But this is the controversial thing that I want to say, and it hurts me so much because he's in my top 5. I'm struggling to support Jey Uso as a singles wrestler because I think he's part of one of the greatest, if not the greatest tag team of all time in the Usos. Yeah, so many titles, decorated, the Bloodline, they had the long-ass reign. He's a great tag team wrestler. He's got a move set with the super kicks, the Uso splash, everything that works for the tag team wrestling where he can tag out, take a break, take a breather, come in, get hype. But with the singles match, damn! Bless you.
All right, is that loud as hell? My bad.
But with the singles matches, I feel like we first saw it at WrestleMania. My most anticipated match was Jimmy versus Jay, and it fell flat. It was super kick after super kick after super kick.
They hyped up that match because it's such a hyped up match. When you have a brother versus a brother, like you see it in movies, you see it in TV shows, comics, whatever you name it. Like if there's a feud between brothers, it's usually something, it's peak. But you're right, because since they are so similar in their move sets and even more than just that, just how they carry themselves too. Like they're always like they got that swag, they got the drip, they got the Samoan blood running through their veins. But they're twins in the sense that they are literally the same person. Yeah. Just there are differences, and there are noticeable differences. But yeah, I would agree. Like watching the WrestleMania match too, you're just like, that was it, really? Like, come on. And I understand that too. That's not. I would say it is a bit of a hot take, but in the grand scheme of things, yeah, I can agree with that because he uses very similar moves as Jimmy would. So therefore, it's kind of hard to see. I mean, you've been watching them for a long time too, so you know firsthand. Like, hey, like I've seen them, like you said, how decorated they were when they were a part of the Bloodline, when they were the tag team champions, all that good stuff. So, I mean, for me, like, just coming into it, like I said before, like I absolutely love Jay. I love how he is as a person and he fights in a unique way to me. But to other people who have been watching for years and years and whatever, I can understand that you can't tell or not tell. You just don't see the difference right off the bat.
Yeah. I think for me, what's the whole solution to that issue or whatnot? This is what I say. Dude, doesn't mean like they have to go back and be the Usos again. No, honestly, leave Jay to cook and thrive as a single star. I think he's doing great. Every time I look at the crowd, yeet shirts. France absolutely ate up his entrance. He's probably a top merchandise seller now. I mean, just for the draft, he was the #1 draft pick to Raw, I believe. Like, he's thriving. Roman Reigns helped elevate him. The Usos as a tag team helped elevate him. He's thriving. He has the charisma. He has aura. But my whole thing with the wrestling is I think he just needs to start experimenting, try some shit. I grew up as a John Cena fanboy, and John Cena started getting clowned. They were like, oh, it's the 6 moves of doom or whatever. Like, he has no diversity to his moveset. And then late into Cena's career, when he was feuding with like AJ Styles around the time I was graduating high school, like 2016, 2017, Cena said, fuck it, I'm gonna start doing some crazy moves. He started doing like Hurricane Ranas, sunset flips. Like, John Cena just started doing all these things, and he's like, fuck you, fans. Like, I can do other wrestling moves. Yeah. And I feel like Cody also, I just watched a video where Cody said he's a sponge. Like, openly, he's like, I sponge up so much. He just literally sponged up. He literally just sponged up Brock Lesnar's Kimura lock and used it on AJ Styles at Backlash.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's what Jey Uso's got to start doing. I think Jey Uso literally just super kicks and does splashes and runs around and goes, Uso! And that's great. But is not gonna put on 5-star singles matches. He needs to start experimenting with some submission moves. He needs to start grappling, being more technical. His moveset right now is just so tag team oriented, where if he can just diversify it, change it up, add to it, he's gonna be a top guy in WWE for a while, man, because he's got the aura, the charisma, the whole package. But it's just the matches just fall a little flat for me. And I think if he can just improve upon that, like, who knows where it can go. Like, he could definitely be a world champ. Maybe he can finish his story just like Cody did. And we'll see. But I had to say that because it pains me so much. I want to be the biggest Jey Uso fan.
That's a valid take,
but something's been holding me back. And I'm like, that's what it is, man. It's super kick after super kick after super kick, then he loses. It's like, nah, Jay, like, fucking put him in a headlock, squeeze, like, do something a little different, man.
Do something that like will separate you from him. Yeah, that's very fair. I would agree.
But we'll see what the people think about that, and we'll see how Jey Uso continues to thrive or sink in the future. But let's move on to match number 4 of 5, which was Jade Cargill. All I had to say was her name. And he's howling. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and the Kabuki Warriors. I feel like I don't have too much to say about this match. I feel like it went as expected. All I have to take away from it is, like, I definitely hope Asuka can eventually kind of split off and go be a singles dominant wrestler again. I would like to see Kairi Sane maybe go do some cool shit. I'm a big fan of hers. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense. You know, Bianca, she already did it all. Might as well win the tag titles. Why not?
Do the first thing,
And Jade still needs some help. You know, she's still a little green, so it's good to kind of have her alongside, I guess what you consider now a veteran in Bianca Belair, and just, you know, working together. So, like, I'm all for it. I do think there were a couple of, like, botches. Jade, like I said, is still green, so she has some practice to do. Maybe some time in NXT would be good for Jade. Who knows?
Really? You think so?
I have watched Jade since the beginning of her career in AEW, and I'm a fan. But she definitely still needs some work. Like, I feel like, I don't know if it's like the nerves or just she hasn't had enough exposure. I think Michael Cole said it. It was like, this is Jade Cargill's like third match in WWE. It's like,
yeah, that's actually kind of fair. I will say this though, because, like, you know, SmackDown is like the premier show, right?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be where you have the high-ranking superstars, and for full honest, she should be able to beat anyone she goes against, just because of her physique, just because of how she handles herself in the ring, just based on the matches that I've seen of her so far. So I can understand that, yeah, there has to be a bit of a, not a learning curve, but like, if you're that strong, like, you have to be able to, I don't know how to describe it, like, perform in a way that, like, it makes sense why you would be stunned by that hit or something, you know? Like, there are a couple times where, like, you know, maybe like 1 or 2 hits would land. Now, this should just be me from what I've seen. Like 1 or 2 hits would land on her, and she's already like kind of like dazed or like walking around. Like, I don't know, like that shouldn't really affect you if you have like that type of, like I said, physique, or even just that type of like movement. But then again, like I said, that just could be me. I will say this though, I think you can definitely see why she is such a premier wrestler. Especially because of that last like couple seconds of the actual match where who did, oh my god,
manhandling.
She oh my god. So not only did she pick her up, she flipped her around on her head.
Yep.
And grabbed her, and
Kyrie's like, no.
Kyrie's just like screaming like, no. And it was just so crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is insane athleticism. And I will. And another thing I want to say too is I think it makes sense for those two to be a tag team, just because. I mean, like, Naomi, like, Naomi's good on her own. I think that's probably, she works well on her own. And I will say, like, for WrestleMania too, when they did what was it, the tag team match for them at least, you know, those three, that's a good trio. But if there were to be a duo split off for them, I think it makes the most sense to have, like you said too, a veteran like Bianca Belair, and have the newcomer Jade kind of work off of each other and be able to go on a run as tag team champions. So that's cool. So they were the only new champions to come out of the entire Backlash event, which is cool. I'm glad that they were able to win that. And yeah, like you said too, I don't really have too many other notes about that fight. It's just it went as I expected. I think that's the biggest part.
Exactly, that's exactly what it was. I feel like it was just kind of that transition match. They didn't want to have the World Heavyweight title directly before the WWE title, so it's kind of like you always get that spot right before the main event where it's
where it's kind of like,
like, do I quickly go to the bathroom before the main event? Do I watch this? But like, I'm starting to get tired. But like, I need to save some energy for the main event. Like, that's always a hard spot to be in for a match. But no, I mean, I enjoyed it. I think it was good. And I'm not hating on Jade. Like I said, I've been watching her since AEW. I am a fan of Jade Cargill. I think she has, just like I said for Jey Uso, she's got all the tools to be a main event player for years and decades and decades. But I just don't think she's still to the level yet where she can be on her own and like carry. Like, even in AEW, she had the undefeated streak for so long, but she still would have some matches where like, you need more practice. Like, you need more exposure, you know? So I think it's the same deal in WWE.
And there's no such thing as a perfect athlete for that type of thing. So you'll always have someone who'll have off days. In any sport, in any type of entertainment, or any type of like thing where you're prominent in that field, but you're not always gonna have a great day.
100%.
You know, and that's not to say that she had a terrible day, but you know, there's always something to improve upon. I think that's something that we can all learn from her about that.
For sure. So, you know, all the best to her. I mean, she's a tag champ now, so hopefully, you know, she's defending and fighting a little bit more. But yeah, that was another just solid match. Backlash was pretty much 4 for 4 up to that point. And like we had already said, that was the only title change of the night, which means in the main events, our American Nightmare retained his first title defense on live television. On a PLE. Because he has done some title defenses
house shows.
In house shows. But first one, AJ Styles, right off the bat, man. The chance.
The phenomenal.
The aura. The hype.
I will say this though. I think also, just a quick note too, going back to Damian Priest too. I think a big part of what adds on to the aura and what adds on to the stage presence is the theme. And there's so many damn Def Rebel themes that are just so
butchered.
Damn,
my boy AJ Styles.
Even Damian Priest knew one where it was like, "All rise," and then I just started playing. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is terrible." And yeah, AJ Styles, what was it? It's like, what is something like? What did he say? Like, you don't want
none.
And he's like, "Whoa!" And then like a pyro goes off. I'm like, dude, like I don't know, man.
AJ's always had killer themes. Like in TNA, he had a killer theme, multiple killer themes, and then his WWE theme was damn good. It was like, they don't want no, they don't want no. And then they changed it to this Def Rebel garbage, man. Like this multiple people,
like punk rap thing. I'm like,
trash, man. It's taking away from AJ's aura, but the French crowd had AJ's back.
That's what
every
they
damn
saved it.
time
They saved it.
that AJ had any offense, they were like, they were saying something in French, but it was like phenomenal, and I was just like, the chant, they're fucking bouncing, they're bouncing,
like yeah,
dude. That's why I love wrestling. Like, as two prominent sports fans giving you this podcast right now, a big reason why I'm a sports fan is for moments like that where the crowd's into it. The crowd's going crazy. Recently, David Pastrnak game winner. We're popping off. But it's moments like that as a sports fan that keep you addicted. You're like, you know what? Even if my team doesn't win the championship, at least I got to experience that one moment in Game 4 where the game winner was hit and we popped off. It's moments like that, and it carries into wrestling. Yes, wrestling's not a sport. To some, it might be considered a sport. I guess it depends on the person. But
I mean, it's on ESPN, so I think it's a sport now. All because
maybe it's now considered a sport officially. That let us know. But
they put what? They just do pickleball in there too. So I'm like, all right, pick a sport.
Pickleball's on there. WWE is a sport. But you just get moments where the crowd is just giving you their all, the energy and everything, and that's why it's so fun to be a wrestling fan, because we even experienced it firsthand at WrestleMania 40. I could taste the blood in my throat, screaming for John Cena, screaming for The Undertaker, screaming for Cody to finish the story. You just can get so passionate and just become one with the community in a wrestling event. The chills, bro. The chills. And yeah, man, like that was just consistent throughout the entire main event. This crowd was just giving it their all. Yes. 1, 2, they kick out, and then they do the little French chant.
The little chant,
like incredible. They sang Cody's theme song, and then even when the song cut off, they still finished the lyrics. Beautiful. 10 out of 10. Simple main event. You knew Cody was winning. I think it was, I don't know if I can give it a 10 out of 10 because I feel like Cody and Roman WrestleMania was like 10 out of 10. So like,
this is more.
Was it
I'd
as
say like
good?
An 8 or a 9.
I'd say like 9 at its peak, but incredible match. Cody, like I said, he's doing what Jey Uso has to do and changing it up. He threw in a new submission move, you know. So Cody's got that arsenal. He is so over, and you know, even though the Twitter Roman crybabies, they're like, Cody boring champion. Cody's doing just fine, man.
He's doing off to a good start, and I think. What do I mention? Like one of the funniest moments too during that fight, because it was mentioned earlier too. AJ Styles, I believe, was on SmackDown. Was like, trying to during the promo, making fun of Cody and be like, "Oh yeah, like he had a whole stupid ass gimmick," and then he did the Stardust hands, and then he's like, "Yeah," but then during the fight, Cody does the little flip, and he does the Stardust, and I'm like,
yes, sir.
Which I will say this too, and I think you said it beforehand, and you can see it anywhere online when people talk about Cody. Say what you will about the gimmicks he's done before, but he commits to them. Even if it's like the dumbest thing, like it was with Stardust, or even when he was dashing or undashing, he commits to those roles, and he does it in a sense where where it makes sense for him to do that. And even now too, as the champion, he's definitely doing a good job being that baby face of being like, "Hey guys, like this is the new era." And he's doing a really good job of showing why he deserves to be the champion after so long. And just to go back to the fight as well, it was good. Both sides were definitely, I would say that was definitely like an even match type of thing, where AJ Styles was definitely pulling out a lot of these impressive moves and submissions to just trying to get Cody. as hurt as possible. And I think for a brief moment, I mean, I never thought he was going to lose, but for a brief moment, there were a couple times where I'm like, oh man, like he's like, I don't know if he's going to try to hurt him here or not. Like, but he's actually like going in.
Yeah.
But like Cody came out on top. He did that really cool Cody cutter off of the third belt, which was insane. I was like, oh, Cody he goes cutter. Flying. I'm like, holy crap.
He almost went over AJ, and then it was so cool because I was watching like Cody like morphed his body like in midair to like just his momentum's taking him just like horizontally, and he somehow just morphed his body to like drop completely vertically. Like I don't know how the hell you did that, but it looked cool as hell. And
he has that athleticism for sure.
Yeah, he's doing great. I have no doubts that he was gonna put on bangers, and I think it is a new era because, acknowledge the tribal chief, all praise to Roman Reigns, but like where you have that schedule, we're only doing 1 or 2 PLEs like here and there, and his matches were so much more slower and methodical. It's cool. But it's very different now with the babyface champion that's going to wrestle at every PLE, that's going to wrestle at every house show. And he wrestles with such a different style where I think he merged very well with someone like AJ Styles, which was a formidable opponent, a formidable first title defense, a formidable first feud. Yes. Like, it was just the perfect layup for Cody to just be like, he's already off to a great start. Like, it doesn't make AJ look weak. Like, AJ is still a legend and respected, and he's still going to go on and do whatever AJ Styles wants to do. But it was just like, you couldn't have picked a better opponent, a better location, a better scenario for Cody to start this title reign for this new era. Best crowd I've seen. Best start, again, to Cody's title reign. Just a great show. I'm gonna have to give this show a 10 out of 10, man. Like, it was just simple, effective, and like best crowd ever. It's like, well, where can you hate? Where was the room for improvement?
And that goes to show, like, you can nitpick anything. Like, hell, even some of the best shows in the past, even the best WrestleManias have moments where you just have to nitpick. But I think if you're looking at it overall, and especially like how engaged the crowd was the entire time, like you said, I would honestly agree at 10 out of 10. I think at least a 9.5, and the reason I give it a 9.5 is just because of I don't know, just like like I said, some matches were better than others. Like I said, like even like the Damian Priest Jey Uso one was good, but I don't think it was phenomenal. Phenomenal. Good song.
Good one.
Thank you. But like, and I think for me at least too, I don't know, this is just me just talking because I'm just too much of a new fan. But I liked that there were 5 matches. But I kind of like, when I first saw it, I was just like, oh, like that's cool. But like, I don't know, I kind of feel like there should have been maybe like one more thrown in there, perhaps. I don't even know how they would have done it, or who it would have been. But I feel like they could have done something a little extra. But like I said, like at the beginning of this episode too, like Backlash is meant to be the first big thing that happens after WrestleMania. So you don't want to go all out where you have too much going on, but you also don't want it to be like a regular episode of SmackDown or Raw, where it just feels like, hey, this could have been done on a weekly episode and not have to be a paid live event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would agree. I think France did a phenomenal job. I love seeing it. And I think one more thing, just to kind of wrap up like the fight itself, or even just in general, I saw a tweet that people were kind of posting around. It was 11 years ago. I don't know if you saw it. Randy Orton tweeted out. He was like this kid Cody Rhodes could be something. I look forward to whenever he becomes champion. Like, this guy is it. And literally, here we are now in 2024, and he's the champion. And I think he even responded to that tweet too. He said, "Yeah, I called it." Yep. And I thought that was so cool, like just to see. And I think the other part of it too is like, wrestling's been going on for years, like years and years and years. But like, and this era that we're in too is one of many. But some of these guys have been doing this for decades as well. And to see the appreciation that they have for these new guys, for people they've known for years, to see them rise to the occasion and become these new faces of the company, it's cool. And it's really cool to see how much support they have for each other too, because you'd expect there to be, because at least how they play it on TV and on camera, you expect there to be a bit of animosity, some jealousy maybe. But I think what I really appreciate about like WWE as well is just how people know I guess when it's their time, if that makes sense. They know when, hey, I knew I'm not the superstar I once used to be, but I'm happy to play my role, and I'm happy to help support the newcomers, because that they will continue our business. They will continue the legacy that we've built. Same could be said for a lot of sports teams too. A lot of like different types of leagues. They have these newcomers are leading these entertainment things, or even just like these parts of like the human culture, to be exact. They're leading them on to continue them, and so there's no room for jealousy. There's no room for anger, for comparing which era is better. I mean, basketball fans do that all the time. Let's be honest.
This is true.
But but it's just so cool to see how well they support each other, and I think that's what draws me more to it more than ever. Is just seeing how everyone is so connected, like through years and years of change and through all sorts of cool stuff. How everyone is still very much a part of what they believe in terms of like for wrestling. So really cool. I think that's my biggest takeaway from this whole thing.
Oh yeah, man. I like I said, as much as we bicker as sports rivals and whatnot, like it's just really cool seeing. First off, one of my N10 boys finally being a wrestling fan. Finally, I got one of them. But just seeing, like how quickly you got into it. Like I said, before you even went to WrestleMania, you didn't know shit. And then by the time we went, you were like, mommy, finish the story. You knew all the storylines and everything. So it's like, that is how quick you can get into wrestling, people. If you stumbled upon this podcast, if you have stumbled upon a wrestling match and you're like, I'm going to check this out, do it. You're going to have no regrets. Even if you don't have the time to watch 3 hours of wrestling a week, 4 hours of wrestling a week, watch clips. I don't even watch Raw and SmackDown anymore. I can keep up with it just by Twitter and Instagram. They post so many clips.
They do. It's because they know they can reach more. Yeah.
It's easy to keep up with wrestling if you just, follow the right accounts, put in a little bit of effort. But I don't want the cast to go too long. So that was episode 2. That was our review on an incredible, simple yet effective and energetic Backlash. Backlash has been like probably the best pay-per-view WWE has put on in the past 2 years. Like Puerto Rico followed by France is like double banger. Like
they're cooking.
That was the best consecutive pay-per-view back-to-back I've seen in a long time. Not counting like WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, like of like the smaller PLEs. Backlash is like the one now. So we'll see next year. I don't know if they've announced what location, but I assume it's gonna again be another, overseas venue, and I'm sure it's gonna be 3 for 3 as long as they keep the momentum going.
We're now real quick too, just to talking about announcements. They did just announce yesterday too during the Kentucky Derby, which I thought was so funny and weird. Which I don't even know if you watched that, but I think I watched like one race.
I did not, but I saw the picture of Rollins and Becky Lynch at the.
Dude, did he go bald? That would be wild. If he
That's
did.
the controversy.
Oh God, I hope not. Anyway, but as announced by Triple H himself, he said it himself too. I think he said at the beginning of the episode here. He said wrestling is on fire right now. There's so much of a hunger and so much of a desire to see more and more. They said. We need a place to keep up that momentum, and what better place than Las Vegas for WrestleMania 41? Just announced yesterday. Las Vegas is the main venue, and I think it was Allegiant Stadium, home of the Vegas Raiders, will be the place for WrestleMania 41. I already love the logo. I don't know if you want to put it on here during like the post production, but really cool. I love, and also the other part of it too, like. I think I just mentioned before how cool the logos are for all these events, but I love seeing the cards. I love seeing the neon lights. It's very much Vegas. It's giving off that energy. So I'm excited. I think it's gonna be a fun time. We got a whole last year to go. I think I saw somewhere that this is going to be like the latest WrestleMania compared to others. Like latest in terms of like dates. Like it's like the tail end of April. Compared to like being like the beginning of it. So by the way. I'm excited. I think it'll be a fun time. We have plenty of time until then. So much stuff can happen at that point too. Like who's gonna be main event? What's gonna happen? What's the roster gonna look like at that point? But I'm just as excited to see what this year has in terms of storylines and all that good stuff. So that's just want to add that in there before we end off.
Oh yeah, man. And with that being said, I mean we are now on the road to King of the Ring. I believe is going to be the next WWE
King and Queen of the Ring.
King and Queen of the Ring. You're right. We can't forget about the Queen of the Ring. There's only ever been one, Zelina Vega. I believe. I don't believe there's been a second. We're gonna be crowning the second. So, you know, we gotta maybe do a little prediction podcast talking about King and Queen of the Ring coming up. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you guys want to see more of the Story Continues cast. I'm posting shorts. I'm getting all the boys. We got Nice Guy gonna be returning for more podcasts and more content.
Oh yeah.
I've got some other friends that want to hop on, talk AEW, WWE, all things wrestling. So make sure you guys subscribe. We're the new hub, or a new hub. I shouldn't say the new hub. A new hub for wrestling content with fans of all 10 years, I guess. 10 years, I think is the right word.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, we're building to King and Queen of the Ring. After that, I believe might be SummerSlam in Cleveland. There might be another pay-per-view.
Oh no, what about Clash of the Castle?
Clash of the Castle in Glasgow, that's right. So there's a lot of PLEs coming up. So we're going to do podcasts talking about each and every one. Hopefully some predictions. We would have had predictions for Backlash, but shit happened. So we're here with the recap, but we definitely will get to a predictions for King and Queen of the Ring. That's it. So make sure you guys subscribe to my boy Nights Guy for all his content.
Thank you.
He's on Twitch, YouTube, all the social media platforms. Check out my gaming channel. There's not much happening on there right now because I'm so focused on Matt RDK, but make sure you check out Radical. Again, you know, check this channel out, posting shorts and all that good stuff. So this is it until the story continues in episode 3. Much love. Finish your story, I think is what we finished that first episode with.
Or continue, hopefully continue your story, something like that.
Continue your story.
Something like that.
But
let's go Philly.
Ooh, you guys aren't even in the playoffs anymore. Let's go Celtics.
No. Let's go Bruins.
Baseball. All right.
Nah, I got eliminated. Get out of here.
Ooh, yeah, the Bruins, I have no faith. We got very lucky. But with that being said, you know what? Let's go Cody. Let's go Jey Uso. Let's go Kevin
Cody.
Owens.
Yeah,
let's go Mommy. Let's go Mommy for a quick recovery. And let's go
R-Truth.
Let's go R-Truth. Let's go WWE. Let's go wrestling. Let's go pro wrestling for the love of the game. All right. Until the next one. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. We'll see you guys soon. Have a good night. Have a good day. Whatever time it is where you are watching this podcast. And we will see you in episode 3 of The Story Continues cast. Woo. Peace out.
Woo. Peace.